as you will see, this city has the magic to bring us back to the 16th century, when the different forts, just like San Cristobal Fort, start to be constructed by the Spaniards. But in order to understand why the Spaniards start to build those fortifications, we need to go back in history a little bit. And everything begins when Spain were looking for new maritime routes to arrive to Asia and expand their territories. But what happened? Instead of finding Asia, what they found was the Caribbean. And in the 1492, Christopher Columbus, the guy we have over there in that statue, you don't need to see him, he's not important, okay? But the thing is that he arrives to the Dominican Republic. And on his second trip, 1493, that was when he arrives to Puerto Rico. Pretty much that's how the conquest and the colonization by the Spaniards in America begins. But now the important thing to clarify is that at first, for the first 25 years, the Spaniards only established around the islands of the Caribbean. And with that, they start to suck all the different resources, different plants, minerals, animals, and they start to export it to Spain. But also from Spain, they start to export their plants, animals, products to the Caribbean, so they could start creating their first cities. Like for example, this city, Old San Juan, is the second oldest city constructed by the Spaniards in the American hemisphere. But then what happened? In the 1518, with Hernan Cortés, there you have it. The Spaniards start to move to Mexico officially. And that was when they start to conquer and colonize the other territories of Central America and South America. And what happened? The more they moved to the south, the more they realized that these new lands were much better in resources. So they start to establish their different political centers in a very strategic position. So then, what happened with the Caribbean? It was not that important, economically speaking, for the crown, like it was for the first 25 years. But what happened? The Spaniards realized that they couldn't abandon the islands of the Caribbean. Why? Because we have the control of the lands of the Caribbean, we'll also have the control of all the maritime routes. So that's why, not only in Puerto Rico, but also among the islands of the Caribbean and among the coastline of Central America and South America, the Spaniards start to build different fortifications so they could protect their new lands, their new resources, and their routes from their enemies. And who were the biggest enemies for the Spaniards back in the time? The British, the French, the Dutch, and the Portugueses. And then what happened with Puerto Rico? Well, Puerto Rico became an important military base for the crown. For the same thing, if you look into the world's map, you see Puerto Rico, the first big island entering the American hemisphere. And then secondly, why they choose San Juan to do the military base? So they choose this city, this area, because over here is where we have the entrance of the bay. And that bay, to give you an idea, was connected to be part of the east side of the island through water all over it. Okay, so imagine the control they could have if they made the city over here. Okay, so guys, now you know the main reason why they do the city over here. Now finally, I'm gonna tell you the story behind San Cristobal Fort. Okay, so San Cristobal Fort is over here on the map, and the fort started to be constructed after the British, by the hands of Cumberland, intend to take the city in the 1634. In the 1598. But what happened? To give you an idea why Cumberland attacked to this side, it was because 3 years before, Drake, who is also British, intended to take the city of San Juan, but he tried to enter through this area. What happened? The Spaniards could stop them because they have the Castle San Felipe and Monroe. So Drake could not take the city from here. It was totally fair for the British. So 3 years after, Cumberland didn't want to do the same thing. So this time, Cumberland was trying to enter a little bit before through the area of Condado. What happened when Cumberland was arriving? The Spaniards saw them, so they tried their best they could to stop them, and they tried to send soldiers with cannons to different possible entrances. But what happened? There was an area where Cumberland, boom, could go inside the city. And that area is pretty much of the beginning of the castle San Cristobal. So now, the reason why Cumberland could enter to this area, it was Because if you see to the fort for a second, you can notice that they made the fort where, like in the top of the hill, right, in over the hill. So imagine that, unprotected, just the hill. At the end you have the cliff, the Atlantic Ocean, and then the other thing, when you guys came to San Juan, do you notice that you passed through the beach all the time to get here? And then in a moment you realize that you were here because you saw the fort. And you saw how the fort goes higher, it becomes bigger. So through that area is where Cumberland entered. What happened? There was no soldier with canyon on the top of the hill, so Cumberland could cover himself through that area. So he go inside the city. Pretty much the final battle begin. The British win. Okay, the Spanish run away from here, and the British start to establish. They were here in Puerto Rico for a little bit more than 3 months. What happened to the British? A plague begins, and they start to die. So that's why at the end they decide to leave. So that's how the Spanish took back the city. They were lost. Okay, but now they learn from their mistakes, so they start a long bureaucracy process. And in the 1634, almost 40 years after that attack, that was when the crown gives them the money and they could start the construction of San Cristobal. Here you can tell that the fort has different levels, right? Also we can tell that the fort it's pretty long. So in each level you have different lines of defense. You have bastiones, baterías. The other thing, for example, that the fort have is the dungeons, and then also have tunnels. Okay, because over here the Spaniards make tunnels all over the city of San Juan. The thing is that these tunnels these days are closed. No one can pass through them. Okay, and then what else happened here in this military area? So they overprotected because the military area was just 3 miles, but they do the Castle San Cristobal, the Castle San Felipe, La Fortaleza. They do another fort to do crossfire. They do a lot of lines of defense on the south area, and also they do a lot of lines of defense on the north area. So they overprotected. But the thing is that, guys, I want to show you something. So this is the military base, right? But if we compare the military base with this other map, the military base was just this. It was really tiny, you see? So this is Old San Juan. Old San Juan is an island. It's a small island. You need to pass through the bridge to get to the main one. On the north is where we have the Atlantic Ocean. Over here where we have San Felipe el Morro, that's the entrance of the bay. So to give you an idea, this area, back in the time, what they were communities. Those communities, the Spaniards divide them with 3 big entrances, 3 walls, but it was not covered. The only part covered was this one. So that means if we have a wall city and we have an island, that means that most of the entrance will be through water, right? So back in the time, there were 3 entrances by water and only 1 entrance by land. The entrance by land was the one that gave access to the communities. If we look it over this map, it was really close, like here, down San Cristobal Fort. It was pretty much over there. But the thing is that why we do not see like the entrance or the big wall right now over here is because in the 19th century, the Spaniards demolished pretty much this area of the walls so they could start urbanizing the city and give access to the people of the communities. And that was when pretty much they do the first theater of Puerto Rico, which is behind us, this yellow building. So now finally we can start walking. Now we're going to see the theater of Alejandro Tapi Rivera. It was named in honor of the first, because of the first Puerto Rican playwright. The theater was constructed in the 1832 as part of the project to urbanize the city. Okay? And the other thing I want to tell you about the theater, it was the Puerto Rican bourgeoisie, the ones who made it, the not the Spanish. And this is how the theater looks inside. So the theater is still in use, but it's only open when they do a performance or a play. Dutch intend to take the city in the 1625. And this attack is important because this attack is the one that is going to convince the crown that they need to close the wall on the south, and they need to protect it also, and they need to do San Cristobal Fort. So over here, how do the Dutch took the city? So the first thing we need to understand is that we're standing over here, and in this occasion, we're looking to the bay, right? We're looking to the south, and then what happens when we look to the bay? We can tell that it doesn't matter where we see. The main island, the mainland, is right in front of us, right? Puerto Rico is right there, there's land everywhere. So what happened? Before this attack, the Spaniards thought that there was no need to protect the south, because the only way that someone will ever attack from here was by passing all the way down from the east side to up here, down here, at different parts of the east side, or by passing through the north, which was more easy. And what happened on the north? The Spanish protected. They do the Castle San Felipe and Morro, they have La Fortaleza, and they already have the fort to do crossfire. So they thought, no need. What happened in the 1625? The Dutch made it. But now, the main reason why the Dutch could made it is because when they arrived, there were almost 1,000 trucks, and the Spanish soldiers were at that very moment on the city were a little bit more than 150. So it was impossible for the Spaniards to stop them. Okay, so over here, what the Dutch do? So what they do, Balduino, is that he passed through the entrance of the bay, and he just tried to go forward. He did not try to take any fort. The only fort that he took is the one to do crossfire. So he eliminated this area over here, so it was much easier for him to go forward. What happened? When they go down here, they appear over here, they go all around, they park on the south. What happened? No wall, no line, so boom, they go inside the city like that. So the thing is that they never took it for real because they were just here in San Juan for a few days. So they never win. But when they go inside, they try to take different positions. Also, they go to the parts of the communities. The people from the communities try to run. They explode the bridge. So pretty much, the Dutch were having the entire control of the city of San Juan. What happened? The 150 soldiers, what they do is that they hide in the castle in San Felipe. And you remember the tunnels that I told you. So they start using the tunnels. And by guerrilla warfields, they were trying to resist and kill them. Meanwhile, the Spanish forces arrived. What happened? A few days passed, and finally, the Spanish forces could enter the city. Through which area they do it? Through the land over here, like they passed through Condado, and also through the bay. When they finally could go inside the city for real, that was when like pretty much the final battle begins. And in this occasion, the Spaniards win. They could force the Dutch to leave, but the Dutch, before they leave, they sack the city the more they could, and also they start a fire. So the city got really destroyed after this attack. So now the Spaniards learn again from their mistakes. So they start the bureaucracy process again, begging for money to the crown, and then you have it. In the 1634, that was when the crown gives them money, and they could start closing the wall on the south, making the lines of defense on the south, and also making San Cristobal Fort. Okay, so that's all the story behind. Okay. So now we're gonna melt. There's nothing to do over here. Okay? No shade. So guys, right now, this is the narrowest house of the American hemisphere. I'm bigger than the house. It's just 5 feet wide. The hallway is 30 feet long. Okay, the house have all the furnishings. They wanted to put in an Airbnb. But until now, I really haven't seen anyone staying over there. Okay, and then on the hallway, you have the living room. At the end, you have the kitchen. You have the stairs that looks more like a ladder to go to the second floor. And on the second floor, you have the bedroom, and then again, you have the stairs to go to the rooftop. And over there, you can see the view of the bay. When you see the roof of the yellow building, you know, the narrowest house, you can see that the roof is much lower than the blue one and the red one. The reason of that is because when the Spanish make over here big constructions, they make sure that they do high roof, so you know that house doesn't feel that hot. Over here, the architecture made a mistake, and what he did to solve the problem, he created the two holes up there. Okay? And then the other thing, why this house is so narrow. There's so many stories. The one that I believe the most is that back in the time, there was just a hallway, and this was the hallway to enter to the red building, to the second floor of the red building. Because back in the time, the house pretty much began on the second floor. The first floor was used more for the stables of the horses or used as a warehouses. What happened when they create the front area over here, the beautiful front area, they add the stairs, so this hallway was unuseful, and so that was when an architecture by the land, and he made that tiny house. Okay, so that's the story I believe.